Hey, mess makers. Do we like that name? We're working on it. Before we dive into today's episode, I just wanted to take a moment to personally invite you to join the Messy mailing list. This is where I will be dropping exclusive content, including tools, sneak peeks on what's coming up, and yes, I will be sharing a personal story and part of my journey that I've actually never shared on the podcast. So seriously, you don't want to miss this. Oh, and I want to hear from you guys. So if you have any questions or thoughts, this is your way to get interactive with me and with Inside Out. So make sure you head over to the show notes to sign up, and I'm super excited to get messy with you guys. All right, back to the episode. Welcome to the Inside Out podcast. I'm your host, Jojo, and this is where we will navigate the mess together. That is mental, emotional, and spiritual. Let's get messy. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Today, I'm super excited because, as promised, I have an astrologer who's going to tell us everything that we've been wondering. Her name is Rachel Iboro. So, without further ado, Rachel, welcome to Inside Out.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, I'm really excited because, you guys, actually, this is my first in-person recording. So, this is new for me. We're face-to-face. This is super fun. And, we're going to get messy. So, Rachel, what is astrology?
That's honestly a really great question because over the past hundreds of thousands of years, astrology has been used in many different religions, spiritualities, cultures. Essentially, astrology is knowing the position of the planets the moment you were born and how they influence you.
Okay, so where the planets are in the sky at the moment of your specific birth influence you how? Like, what does that look like?
So that's where it gets a little bit tricky for people because they tend to like to blame their characteristics and personality traits on their sign. But this is where we have to draw a line and say it does not make you who you are. It can influence you to act a certain way. And now that you know this is the cycle or the reactive nature of your sign, now you can rise above it.
Interesting. Well, I'm someone who's been very interested in astrology for a while, but I've seen it so misused. And I feel like I even mentioned this last week on my episode that I saw a comedian talk about how girls use it and, say like, oh, I'd never date a Gemini, I'd never date a Leo or blah, blah, blah. There's so many ways that people take it and weaponize it. And what really is the point of astrology? And how can we use this and deepen our understanding of ourselves and really figure out why we're here and what do we do with this?
So you kind of answer the question. It's why are we here? This is the one reason why we use astrology. A lot of people wonder, what is my purpose in this world? What am I supposed to do? What are my gifts? What are my talents? What are my setbacks? Why do I have these challenges? All these questions of why? And astrology gives you the map. It gives you the complete answer. And for me personally, it just gave me an assurance and it empowers me. And that's why I love to use it to empower people. So the way that I grew up in my home and in my religion is that we came here to this world to do a mission. And that always confused me. What does that mean? What is my mission? What am I supposed to do here? And then over the years, that word mission developed into purpose. What is my purpose? But again, I was lost. What does that mean? How am I supposed to know what my purpose is? And once I discovered astrology and saw my unique individual soul plan, everything became crystal clear. And astrology can do that for you by knowing the exact time of your birth and location. It's put into a system. And in this system, it shows the exact position, like we mentioned, of all the planets and even some comets, the moment that you were born. And what this does is that when interpreted, it shows how they can influence you, empower you, or even be setting up boulders for you that you need to learn how to get over so you don't get stuck. It can show where there's stagnant energy. It can show where there's complete oppositions in your life, challenges. It can show where you have hidden gifts. It can show powers. It shows the magic of you. And it's also really important to go to someone who can interpret it the right way and has the right consciousness behind it. Because the way that it is misused. I've even had someone had a reading for me and tell me, stay away from Scorpios. Scorpios will destroy you. And
that feeds into that like social media clickbait of like, oh, Scorpios are this and Geminis are that. And I'm sorry, I keep using Gemini as an example. You guys are great. I love you, Geminis. Aren't you a Gemini?
No, I'm a
No,
Cancer.
you're a Cancer. Okay, sorry.
But even that, like, you can't put someone into the box of their zodiac. It's another label for someone. You're not giving them the opportunity to grow, and you're not giving yourself the opportunity to grow. You come here with these boundaries that your soul chose for a reason. That's why your soul chose to either be an Aries or to be a Cancer or to be a Sagittarius. Why did your soul choose it? And that's what the birth chart reveals to you. It also reveals to you, which is my favorite part, about your past life. What many people don't know is that reincarnation is a huge deal in the universe. And your birth chart literally says exactly what happened in your past life and why your soul chose this life, why it chose your family, why it chose certain people, why it chose certain traits that you have.
And you can find this out from a birth chart?
Yeah. You can find out everything from a birth chart.
See, that is what blows my mind. And I know that astrology isn't used for like predictions. It's not predictory, but that's so crazy because there's the difference between like people saying, oh, I want to go to a psychic or I want to, see what my future is. And then the other side of that being free will. So I guess a lot of people might have pause when it comes to that. So what are your thoughts around that?
Well, you actually can use astrology and your birth chart to predict your future, but you'll be basing it off your chart as if no growth is happening. So if you don't do any growth where you actually use your free will, like you just mentioned, your chart will actually play out exactly the way it says. There will be no process happening. It'll just be the way it is. But if you see your patterns, if you see your setbacks, if you see your reactive nature and you start to defy against it, which your birth chart can give you the exact guide and tools of how you can overcome it, you immediately change your destiny in that moment.
So you're telling me that if I did a birth chart when I was 5 years old, it would look different than if I did a birth chart right now, even though that's the time and place that I was born. Is it mutable? Like, is it changing based on like where the planets are in the sky today, or is it just it's changing because I'm changing?
It's changing because you're changing. The chart will look exactly the same, but your energy will change the way it's read and interpreted.
And it can only be read and interpreted by a human, not by like an astro.com.
Oh my God. No. Astro.com and other apps or websites, they can give you some pretty accurate descriptions of personality traits or certain things that you feel, but in a spiritual growth process, that's what's missing. They don't have that in their system.
Right. So that just tells you, oh, your Venus is in Scorpio, but it doesn't actually tell you what that means for you as a human based on everything else.
It can say, oh, your Venus is in Scorpio, so you can be obsessive and you need to know every detail. But then, okay, what do I do now? How do I overcome it? How can I not have this trait control me? How can I be free of it and use it to empower me and make my connections in my life deeper?
Wow.
Yeah. I love the pattern. You love the pattern.
I love the pattern.
It's fun because we all love reading about ourselves and hearing, but okay, what's the next step? That's what I'm asking myself when I'm reading it. Okay, and where's the and? Where's the continuation? And that's what you can get from a birth chart reading.
Wow. That's very impressive. All right. So let's go through the entire zodiac and can you give me a few sentences about each sign and what they represent?
I'll try to sum it up the best way I can. So we'll start with Aries. Aries is the first sign in the zodiac. And because it's the first sign, it's actually the child of the zodiac. That's why any Aries they're like children. Their inner child is always on the surface, and that's something that you can love about them or choose to have to love about them.
Okay.
And what Aries do is that they actually show people life is light, life is fun. And they can also be very impulsive, like a child. They need to get what they want in that moment right now or the world will end. They have actual ants in their pants, like they are ADHD because they have so much energy. They are a fire sign and they're ruled by Mars. Mars is the planet of motivation, the planet of energy, the planet of war. That's why Aries are actually also the warriors of the zodiac, which is why they're always ready to argue and win any debate possible. It can be a really great thing, or it can actually deter you from your goal. You just have to learn how to use and balance the energy with all the signs. So the next sign is Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign, and Taurus is a very, very interesting earth sign because as grounded as it may be, it's actually always in a huge state of confusion. And this is because it's ruled by the planet Venus. Venus is the planet of love, romance, but also the planet of where everything is confused. And this creates a challenge for Tauruses. But besides that, Tauruses, they're very connected to the physical world. You will never see a Taurus wearing anything that's not name brand, but they don't do it in a flashy way. They need the best of the best. They are also very stubborn. Tauruses also actually hate the word change. That word is not in their vocabulary. So there's actually a way that we learn in astrology, how can we help Tauruses? Because they need to change, they need to grow. They cannot have the same thing over and over. Like they will literally eat the same thing every day over and over because that's stability and consistency and comfort for them. Their comfort is everything. But then Tauruses want the best of the best. So what do? We say, how can we improve? You want the best. Let's improve. So that's how you can also use astrology. Next is Gemini, which is an air sign, and they represent the air signs very well. Geminis, they love to talk. They can talk all day, every day about every topic, every subject. They are so curious, and that's something that we can learn from Geminis, how to be curious. They can pick something up, be so interested, pull their energy into it for 5 minutes, and then on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. They're always going because they have a huge vessel for wisdom. They love to learn, they need answers, and they get a bad rap because everyone's like, oh, Geminis are two-faced, they're two-sided. That's not true. The secret to Geminis is that the reason why people feel they have multiple personalities is because Geminis are trying to find themselves, but at the same time, they want to be accepted. So they enter a room, they feel the vibe, and they alter to match that vibe. So give your Gemini friends a little hug and tell them it's okay, and help them find their unique individual personality. The next sign is Cancers, which is a water sign. And Cancers are a very unique sign. They have a lot to them. They're all about emotions. They're all about connection. They crave connection so much. They are very family oriented. They love to care. They love to give. And this is where lines get very blurry for them. Cancers do not know boundaries. And this is actually because they're ruled by the moon. And the moon, it's full of lack. The moon does not have its own light. The moon gets all the light from the sun. So this affects Cancers because they feel they have no light of their own and they need light from other people. So they're always trying to please others around them. What can I do for you? How can I be there for you? And the slightest disapproval from others affects their emotional well-being. Cancers, they are one of the most powerful signs, but once they understand that they're powerful from themselves and not from others' approval or recognition. Next is Leo. Everyone knows Leos. Everyone loves Leos. They are such a special sign. They are ruled by the sun, which is why they know they're special. The whole world revolves around the sun, so that's why you feel like Leos feel that the whole world revolves around them. And Leos, they're very fiery, they're very feisty, they are amazing leaders. They can have a very dominant energy. You can always spot a Leo in the room because something about them stands out, whether it's their outfit, whether it's their wild hair, whether it's their striking eyes. You can always spot a Leo. You feel their essence, you feel their vibe the second they walk into the room, because they also, since they're ruled by the sun, they bring light to the world. So they bring light to everyone that's around them. And if a Leo gives you a compliment, you feel like you're on top of the world because you know they don't just give them out. And they're giving it to you. They're giving you a piece of their energy. And you're like, wow, that's the power of a Leo. And that's why they came to this world, to lead. Next is Virgo, the next earth sign, which is such a particular sign. If anyone knows anything about Virgos, they are OCD. They need structure, they need order, they're ruled by logic, they like systems. Their mind is like an analytical computer. We often joke that Virgos have analysis paralysis. They will overanalyze and overthink every situation. And another gift of Virgos is that they are the sign that brings service to the world. That's why any Virgo you know, they are the best at taking care of people. A lot of them work in the health field. They know how to provide for people in a way that's in a system, because that's just how they run and that's how they work. Next is Libra, the beautiful Libra sign. They're also ruled by Venus like Taurus. And that's why the world of Libra is all about love, romance, relationships, beauty, pleasure, fashion. This is what makes Libras drive and go. It's their core desire, because beauty really is everything for them, but not in a superficial way. It can start out first like that in the beginning of their life, but then they realize there's beauty in everything, and Libras teach you how to see the beauty in the trees, in the sun, in the little things, in the big things, and in a simple conversation, in a book. They bring you warmth, they bring you love, and most importantly, balance. They really struggle with balance. That's why they cannot make a decision a lot of the time. But this is because they understand the weight of consequences. So it's not a bad thing that Libras can't make decisions. It's because you're being very careful, and there's beauty within that. The next sign is Scorpio. It's another water sign, and it's a very unique water sign because it's ruled by Mars, the same planet that rules Aries. So this makes Scorpios like fighters, but not in the way you think, because it's a water sign. Water signs, they don't fight. You don't see a water sign having a confrontation. You don't see a water sign getting in your face about something. They're just always on survival mode, and they view life in a very intense way because that's how it is for them. So any interaction you have with a Scorpio, it will be intense. It will be all in or all out. They will drive you crazy. They will get obsessive, and they need to know every detail, and they can get very dark sometimes, but this is because that's actually their gift. They see darkness in everything, but once they learn that the whole point of seeing their darkness is because there's light to be revealed there and transformation, that's when they understand why they're here. Scorpios have the ability to transform. And ask a Scorpio, they'll tell you, I feel like I'm a different person every 2 weeks. They're always shedding skin. They're always entering a new level, and they're not afraid to go to the deep, dark depths of their inner world. And that's something that we can learn from Scorpios. They don't have that fear. They will take that risk and go down because they know they will rise back up like a phoenix. The next sign is Sagittarius. It's a fire sign, and it's a very lucky sign. It's ruled by Jupiter, which is the planet of luck, blessings, miracles. And any Sagittarius, they just wander through life with luck. Things will just randomly be given to them for free, and they go somewhere, they'll get in with the best table, they'll cut all the lines. Everything just always works out for Sagittarius because their ruling planet is Jupiter. This leads them to live a life based off luck, and everything works out for me, and that's why they're the biggest procrastinators, and it's very hard for them to have accountability and responsibility. But once they have a goal and they see it, they see nothing but that goal and they strive for it. That's their gift. That's also, while they're striving for that goal, they don't care who will hurt. Sagittarius have a sharp tongue, very blunt. They don't care about anything but their goal. So do not stand in their way. Let them be. Unless you want to get burned by their fire. Yes, so very, very powerful sign. Also one of the most spiritual signs, one of the most wise signs. They're always, your Sagittarius friend is that one on a random Tuesday booking a flight to a random part of the world and just always doing something spontaneous. But this is a huge personality trait of Sagittarius. Always on the go, always something new, something spontaneous, traveling, learning, elevating. That's Sagittarius. Capricorn, on the other hand, is very opposite of Sagittarius. It's the next sign, and it's an earth sign that is ruled by their wallet. They love money, they love success, they have a huge ambition, and they need to know that they're conquering the world. They make the best businessmen, they make the best lawyers, they run things up. Because money for them is their source of stability. They need to see it to believe it. So they need to see that number in their bank account. They need to see their name being plastered on the wall and their success, because that is their driving force to feel that everything's okay. Which, like Taurus, makes them very connected to the physical world and forgetting that there's a whole spiritual world there for them. They're actually one of the most powerful signs in the whole zodiac, but only when they're in touch with their emotions. And Capricorn's emotions, that doesn't mix, that doesn't go. They're like, what's an emotion? You will not see a Capricorn cry. They will never show you their weakness because they believe that vulnerability is weakness when it's actually a strength. So yeah, but they're very ambitious, very driven, they're like the father of the zodiac also. They know how to take care, they know how to supply, they know how to be reliable. Next is Aquarius. Oh, Aquarius is how we love you so much. Never tell an Aquarius they're basic. Unless you really want to get under their skin, they strive off their quality of being different. And every Aquarius is different. They're very unpredictable. They're so unpredictable that it's actually predictable. And they have a huge desire to change the world, but they just don't know how. They have an ability to reach masses. They have an ability to influence people. And they're also an air sign, so they love to talk. They love to communicate. But then this is where they have a barrier because they really struggle with interpersonal connections. They struggle with letting people in. They feel that no one understands them. No one sees the world the way an Aquarius sees it. No one understands their mindset and their values and their principles. Oh my God, an Aquarius's principles, it's that over everything. And they need to remember that people are people. Principles are principles. There's two different extremes and they need to learn how to meet people in the middle, because principles actually make their life very complicated. Aquariuses also have a very unbalanced, complicated life. And once they learn and understand why that is and why they're structured in that way, once again, that's how they rise above it and change their destiny. And then last but not least, we have the final water sign, Pisces. Beautiful Pisces, they are the dreamers of the zodiac. They live in the spiritual world. They are so intuitive, so deep, so wise. They're very old souls, but they have no boundaries when it comes to people, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to even themselves. They will go above and beyond. They will completely burn themselves out for the others, but for themselves, they have no desire to receive. They have no desire to strive and do. It's hard for them because they're the fish. That's their symbol. And the way Pisces live is like a fish in an aquarium. I have everything I need within this aquarium. I have my buddies, I have my rock, I have my water. Why do I need to go outside to get more? But hello, there's a whole ocean to discover. So Pisces need that push. They need their desire to be activated. And once they do that, they can achieve everything and they can actually turn all their dreams into real manifestations in this world. That's their power.
Wow, thank you so much for going through all of those signs. And it brought up a few questions in me because there's something called the big three, which my understanding is your sun, moon, and rising. And when you're born, I'm born in October 10th. So my sun is in Libra, but my moon is in Taurus and my rising is Aries. So what you just mentioned, does that just apply for your sun sign, or do aspects of that apply to your moon, your rising, your Venus?
In some ways, yes. You just have to understand what each position means. Like your sun sign it's your identity. It's your conscious self root.
Very interesting, because we're going through the zodiac and I was like, wait, parts of this can apply. And I guess that's why we have a birth chart.
Yeah, some parts, but not fully. It can on the surface level apply. Like, of course, you connect it to the description of a Taurus because it's your moon, and we learned that your moon sign, it's your inner self. It's the raw.
Wait, before you go there, let's actually go through what the big three are, because
yes.
When you get your birth chart, you see what your sun, moon, and rising are. So let's start with your sun.
Okay, so your sun, like I said, it's your ego. It's your conscious self root, and it's what you're giving out to the world. It's what you want the world to see of you. Of course, it's your personality traits. It's the way that you are seen. It's your outer self. Your moon sign, on the other hand, it's the hidden parts of you. It's your inner, most raw, deepest parts of yourself that you might not even know about. A lot of people don't even understand or know what their moon sign is, because your moon sign is also your reactive nature. It's the way that you process your emotions, and it's your relationship with your mother.
I'm sorry, what? Let's go back to that.
Yeah, your moon sign, because the moon represents the mother. Your moon sign represents your relationship with your mother. So your moon sign says one thing, but also the position of where it is in your birth chart, in which house, in the aspects that follow with it, tells us the entire relationship, tells us what your mom would even say to you growing up, the things she would say to you, and how that now has become your inner voice, and how it fuels your reactive system.
I need to get a birth chart done stat pronto. That's what this is telling me because I love astrology and I know zero. After this conversation and during this conversation, I'm literally looking at you bug-eyed, like, what is happening? There's so much here, and people just think it's a horoscope in the back of a magazine. And it's like, well, yeah, that can apply to anybody, but we're talking like real blueprints of our soul and like the purpose of why we're really here.
And understanding yourself in a level that you never thought you would be able to. And also, your rising sign, many people believe it's just your personality traits and the way that you come off to the world, your vibes. But your rising sign is so much more. It's actually one of the most pivotal points of your chart. And it's based off the exact minute that you're born. So when people say, oh, I was around this time. No. Exact minute. It changes the entire chart. And
so if I'm born at 10:51, I'm not born at 10:51. No one look at my birth chart. Thank you very much. I'm not telling you what time I was born. But if I was born at 10:51, but I put in 10:53, it's going to throw off my entire chart.
There will be a slight difference. Like even twins, for an example, my sister-in-law is a twin. Her and her twin sister are a few minutes apart. And even from just looking at them, you see the major differences. One has red hair and feisty and fiery and will tell you off. The other one, blonde hair, comes off like an angel, will never say anything to hurt you. And the difference between them is like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and such a vast difference because the rising sign, it actually also represents your physical features. It represents, your vibe and your personality, but why is it your vibe? Why is it your personality? What is it for? And why did your soul choose those traits of your rising sign? And there's actually a secret about the rising sign. Spiritually, it's the tool that your soul chose to help you overcome your correction in this world, which aligns with your purpose.
Do you want to expand?
I can expand.
Okay.
I can give a great example. Let's take, for example, I'll give you an example with all three and how knowing your big three shows your unique blend. Would you like me to use you?
Sure, why not?
You're a Libra, right? And your moon is in Taurus and your rising is Aries. So as a Libra, your life is fully about what do others want? I want to be there for others. I want to help them. I have to think of everyone in this situation before I can even think of the next move. Your rising, which I forgot to mention, is also the way that you initiate things in the world, how you go, how you take action. Your rising is Aries. Aries is, I don't think, I do. And I do what matters to me, which helps your Libra because your Libra is constantly stuck on what other people want and what their opinions are and what they need. And Aries is like, no. This is what we're doing right now. Don't even think about it. I'm going to take an impulsive action and I'm going to do it for me because I matter, which completely is the opposite of a Libra. So it's helping you not get stuck, to take action and to put yourself first, which a Libra forgets to do 99.99% of the time.
And the shadow part of that, which is really interesting because I do have that side of me with the Libra being like, what does this person think about this? And what does that person need? And blah, blah, blah. And then I have this very impulsive side of me that doesn't think before, or I used to be a lot more impulsive. I've definitely come more into balance with both of those, especially in the last year or two.
So then also your moon sign, your moon is in Taurus. And how does that come into play? Your moon sign is your emotional system, like we said, your reactive nature, and what gives you comfort. It's in Taurus. So for you, that means I need to know there's a system happening here. I need to know I'm being taken care of. I need to know how I can cross all the T's and dot all the I's before I make my next move. So now I see your psyche and I understand you're actually in a battle in your head 99.99% of the time. You're always going back and forth. You're playing ping pong in your head. Do this, don't do it. And then your moon and Taurus is like, can we slow down? Can I lay down? Can I eat a snack before I even think of my next move?
I'm dying because this is sadly and hilariously just so accurate.
When you know your big three and you know your combination and how it's affecting you without you even knowing, it's literally your subconscious coming to light. Now you can look at it from a big picture and see, okay, how can I attain to myself right now? Take care of myself and make sure I don't lose my mind.
Okay, everyone, your homework was from last week to look up your big three. So I hope that you've been following along and listening and figuring out how this stuff applies to you and taking some notes. And also just look at your birth chart because we're going to get even deeper. But before I let Rachel go, I want to apply this to the mess, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So mentally, How can we use astrology?
Mentally, I feel like is a broad word because you can use it mentally as a system to keep yourself in check and set goals for yourself and rise above. But for me, mentally is more of peace of mind, and you can really use it to understand yourself and to have self-acceptance. This is what's really important. You need to learn that your soul chose every aspect of your life for a reason, and it's perfect. It's perfectly aligned. And knowing mentally that this was designed perfectly for me, I designed this actually, and I'm keeping myself truthful. That can provide a lot of clarity for the mental aspect of it instead of putting yourself down, being in a constant state of confusion, feeling lost.
I guess it really does add that layer of self-compassion because for me personally, I also use it to, and I mentioned this last week, that sort of gives a foundation for what's happening around you and that like the things that you're processing or going through aren't just random and out of whack. It's like, oh wait, this, like you said, is perfectly designed this way so that I can overcome this challenge or see this as a mirror or a reflection. Because astrology is a tool, it's not a rule, and it's not supposed to be, again, the predictory side, but it definitely is informative. And to your point, and to apply it to the mess, it can just level that aspect out.
Yeah.
Okay, how about emotionally?
Emotionally, well, of course, knowing your moon sign, but even beyond your moon sign, there's so many different aspects to the chart. Like you mentioned, there's all the different planets, Mars, Venus, even Mercury, even knowing the position of the planets in the houses, which we can also get into. Emotionally, you can find healing through astrology. You can see where you're wounded. You can see why you have certain thought patterns and intense feelings towards something, but you don't know how to express it. It gives you the answers and it makes you feel like there's a solution, which there always is. In astrology, we see the remedy before we even see the problem.
That's really empowering. And I've also seen that you can do something called a composite chart where you take someone else's charts and their aspects and you can understand why there's emotional friction, why there's tensions,
Between two people.
People
use it actually also for businesses when you want to start a business with someone. People use it for parent-children relationships, which is very, very important. And of course, for marriages, relationships, for
every aspect of your life.
Even friendships. Yeah, you can literally understand what even your soul tie is to this person. What is a mission that you guys both need to complete with each other here? What correction needs to happen between the two of you? Why is there this weird tension, or why the second we met we feel this click like we've known each other our whole lives? The chart shows that and helps you understand.
Okay, emotionally, just before we move on to spiritually, everyone is always like, oh, these signs are super compatible versus like, I'm not compatible with it. Like, is that even true? Because if we're not looking at just our sun signs here and we're looking at a whole chart, because you're not just your sun sign, does that have any actual bearing? Because I feel like traditionally, or what is said out there, a Libra could be very compatible with an Aquarius. However, I have dated an Aquarius and we were fire and gasoline. So what is compatibility in the emotional side of it really? Like, is that real?
Yes, but like you said, beyond the sun sign, you have to look at the whole chart. Maybe his moon and your moon were at opposites. Maybe the Venuses didn't match. Maybe your Mars and his Venus had a battle within each other, and it can show you. It can really show you.
That's so cool.
It can emotionally show you how you can truly connect with others and understand them in a way that sometimes they don't even understand themselves. This is something I really push for with parents and children. I make sure parents know their child's moon sign. If you know your child's moon sign, you have the ticket.
Wow. Okay, how about spiritually? How can we spiritually apply astrology to our lives?
Simply put, to rise above any characteristic that is the generic of your sign. Oh, you're a Cancer. Oh, you're so needy and emotional. You don't want to be called that. Now you know how to rise above it. The chart will give you the tool. You're a Capricorn. You're so cold-hearted. You have no emotions. You're all about work and no play. Okay, there's a guide. There's a way to change that. And once you start elevating and breaking out of that nature, that's when you change everything. Everything. I can attest to this myself. That's also why I'm so passionate about it. Astrology has really helped me change my entire life. because I've seen where I am extremely reactive, where I am living in such cycles that I need to break out of and change. And I saw the magic of making these changes. And I truly feel like I create my own destiny every single day because I have the tools and the guide right in front of me.
And that's the answer, because astrology should be used as a tool. And it's totally misunderstood. And that's why it has a bad rap. I mean, ask anyone, they'll be like, oh, you're into astrology? Yes, and you should be too, because they really does hold the answers and keys to how to change your life and how to really elevate and go to the next level. And as Rachel said, find the reactive points and transcend them. Well, thank you so much for coming on Inside Out this week. I really appreciate having you, and we're going to have you back. I want to get into, there's so many more aspects. Like you said, I want to talk about houses. I want to talk about other planetary placements and really dissect the chart. But until then, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram or TikTok, but Instagram is better because you get more insight and wisdom. TikTok is just for fun. Imuna Astrology.
And I will link that in the show notes, so make sure you check that out and go follow Rachel.
I have one more thing to add. A lot of people say, oh, astrology isn't true, it doesn't affect us. How can you say a planet can affect you or influence you? So we know scientifically that the moon controls the oceans, controls the waves, the water, right? And we are 75% water in our body. So how can you say that the moon cannot have an effect on us? So that's also one example of how astrology can, in a logical and scientific way, affect us.
I love that. All right, you guys, and you know where to find me at _insideout.podcast. Make sure you share this episode with a friend. Go find your big three. Comment. I want to know what they are. You guys know what mine is, so it's only fair. And I will see you guys next week.
And maybe we can get into one of them.
What do you mean?
Whoever comments their big three, maybe we can get a little reading.
You guys, Rachel just gave the best idea. Comment your big three. We'll dissect yours for you. All right. And until then, have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.